So like I mentioned on Twitter, I don't think I have time for a weekly news show like we used to run, but if big news like this keeps dropping, I think it would be fun to keep making videos for huge individual stories for the time being. I had a pretty good time making the news video we did a couple days ago, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Once again, it's more Pokemon news, and it's a big one. Literally. Catching you up to the story if you haven't seen all the pieces yet, we've known for a little while that something big is going to happen with Zygarde. This guy's been neglected for 2 years as this weird legendary Pokemon floating around with zero lore, and the poor thing doesn't even have a trading card, but many have speculated that this thing would be the basis for a next additional game in the X and Y series, the same way that other neglected legendaries have popped up in the next game. Recently, we got news that many seem to figure was an announcement of a large role for Zygarde in the 2016 Pokémon movie. At least it somewhat resembles Zygarde, right? Then we got a quick tease of this little guy, and everyone lost their minds. Is this a 7th generation Pokemon, the way they like to tease cute Pokemon before their generation drops? Is it a piece to the Zygarde puzzle? Well, now that Korokoro has leaked, all has been revealed. Yes, this guy is Zygarde. He's Zygarde, you're Zygarde, I'm Zygarde! Are there any other Zygarde I should know about? Meow. Alright, let's round up all the forms here. This one is Zygarde Core, and it turns out that these flat guys we saw briefly in an anime preview are called Zygarde Cell. They combine to make the brain of future forms. Then we have Zygarde 10%, which looks like a dog, Zygarde 50%, which is the form that we knew from X and Y, and then there's Perfect Form Zygarde, a hulking Gundam of a beast that seems to bear markings hinting at some sort of involvement with Yveltal and Xerneas. Now, I've probably gone on record mentioning that Frieza from Dragon Ball Z resembles Mewtwo just a bit. But this Zygarde chain of evolution starting with a Cell, there's no way this wasn't inspired by, well, Cell from Dragon Ball, who absorbs the power of others to continually grow in form, starting very small. Also, he's green, I guess? I don't know, it could be a coincidence, but it is pretty similar. There's a lot going on here. We're in the era where just about every generation has a legendary that can hop between different types of forms, but this right here, this is something else. There's so much Zygarde that the next installment of the Pokemon anime is moving from Pokemon X and Y to Pokemon X, Y, and Z, starting in October in Japan. Now, does this mean that a Pokemon Z video game is confirmed? Honestly, it seems likely, but here's my guess. Looking back at past Japanese game and film releases, here's what seems to make the most sense to me. For one, we know that Japan has always released a Pokemon movie in July. I mean always. A Pokemon movie has released in July for 18 straight years in Japan, so this mysterious trailer they've dropped for the 19th movie is definitely coming out in the summer of 2016. The last time Japan saw a summer main series game release was Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 in June of 2012. And you know what? It lined up pretty nicely with the summer of 2012 movie, which had a great deal of the new Kyurem forms in it. If I were a betting man, I'd put my money on some kind of Pokemon X and Y sequel game dropping in the summer of next year, the same way Black and White sequel games dropped in the summer 4 years ago. While I'm not typically a big fan of the sequel games, I did like what the Black 2 and White 2 games did the most, by advancing the story and changing the plot. If there is a Pokemon Z and a Return to Kalos, I'd like to see a continuation of the plot rather than that same story again. And I'd definitely like to hear more about a Z. The only final thing of note is that there will be a new Mega Evolution anime special, which led many to believe that the Greninja they showed here would be some kind of Mega Evolution. I would have been pretty underwhelmed if this was a Mega Evolution design, but instead Korokoro seems to hint that there's a connection between this Greninja and its appearance merging with Ash in some way. Ash like the trainer. Pokemon human combinations? What is this, Reburst? Well, considering that's all we've got for today, if you want to learn more about the Reburst Pokemon manga, which combined people and Pokemon, you can click right here. I can't promise how regular these news videos will be, but they have been a lot of fun to make in between working on some of my really large projects. If big news keeps dropping, and you guys keep enjoying the videos, I'll continue to share my thoughts whenever I have the free time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with more Nintendo content.